Hey guys, PBJ here. Sorry. I am about to talk about a certain. You know, these people who say they don't really care about anything else. They're focusing on America. America's important to me. Yet they feel the need to comment on things about Israel. And I'm speaking about a certain Matt Walsh. Um, I haven't really followed much of Matt Walsh. He's said some good things in the past, but I find his approach to everything just very I don't know. It's just not really my kind of thing. But he commented on the text messages that were released by Candace Owens that said that Kirk was thinking about turning against or leaving the pro-Israel camp. It didn't say he was turning on Israel, it just said he was leaving the pro-Israel camp because of supposed bullying Jewish donors. Let's start off. This is what the Daily Mail wrote about it. Charlie Kirk leaked text confirms he was livid about bullying Jewish donors. I'm leaving the pro-Israel cause. That's not what he said. I'm leaving. He says he's thinking about it. But Charlie Kirk furiously criticized bullying Jewish donors and said he was considering leaving the pro-Israel cause before his death. It was confirmed today. The bombshell revelation comes after Candace Owens, released a screenshot of Kirk fuming in a group chat that Jewish donors were pulling funding over his links to Tucker Carlson. Okay, that's what the Daily Mail wrote. Okay, let's start off and see what Walsh gives to this. Let's go.
The side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side. Well, they managed to alienate and push away Charlie Kirk. And if you're on that side, you should really, really stop thinking about that. Okay, let's talk about this. The Daily Mail reports Charlie Kirk furiously criticized bullying Jewish donors and said he was considering leaving the pro-Israel cause before his death. It was confirmed today. The bombshell revelation comes after Candace Owens released a screenshot of Kirk fuming in a group chat that Jewish donors were pulling funding over his links to Tucker Carlson. Turning Point spokesman Andrew Colvette confirmed the authenticity of the screenshots on Tuesday morning.
He also confirmed the letter written to Bibi Netanyahu, which was after this. I think it was after this text. Confirmed the letter. The guy he's talking about from Turning Point. Confirmed the letter that Bibi Netanyahu received from Charlie Kirk regarding Israel's PR, and that Kirk was concerned that the narrative was being lost for Israel. Now, there was, but we always choose to focus in on the minority and the loudest among us. There has been, and Walsh doesn't acknowledge this, which is I don't know, that there were certainly influences on the right who were seemed to have kind of flipped on Israel. Carlson's never been a particularly big thing on Israel throughout his career at Fox. I never saw him really talk much about Israel. I did see him once talk about Israel, and it was a kind of a negative stance, but he never really covered it. He is now out for all to see. He's been dedicating at least half of his shows to Israel. Okay, let's carry on here.
Tuesday during the latest episode of the Charlie Kirk Show. In text messages, Kirk privately complained that a Jewish donor had withdrawn a $2 million investment into the organization because he refused to disinvite Carlson from the upcoming America Fest event.
Which is perfectly understandable. When you say bullying, let's just be clear here. A donor has the right to give his money to whoever he wants. If that person he's donating to is not fulfilling what he perceives are what he believes in, they have every right to withdraw their money. And this idea of bullying is another story. I think Carlson was already deep in the shit. He had invited on anti-Israel pundits. He had invited on people that have outright lied about Israel, and he has not pushed back on them. This is what Carlson was doing. He decided to invite him to Turning Point USA. He's a friend of Carlson's. He was confronted by his donors to say, look, this guy's been saying this and this and this, and quite frankly, I'm not going to pay money and support your organization if you allow a man like this on stage to spew utter lies. And they are utter lies. They have every right to pull their funding. Now, the thing that gets my goat about this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, now, Kirk must have realized, at least acknowledged, and he did, that there was this growing anti-Semitism on the right. And he knew it came from sources like Carlson, it came from Candace Owens. That's where it came from. And other pundits that have been circulating in the right. He's surprised, he's angry. Kirk was angry because he felt he was being bullied to say, please, we don't want this guy here, and if you're going to invite him, we're not going to be associated with your organization anymore. Perfectly legitimate. Perfectly legitimate. I'm sorry. But if I'm a pro-Israel guy and I'm giving money, millions of dollars, to his organization for one of the reasons, having a pro-Israel stance, and you decide to invite on Tucker Carlson, who has been polarizing on this issue, has said some incredibly hurtful things, has invited on some of the worst anti-Semites you can possibly imagine, not to tell the truth, but to outright lie for an agenda on Tucker Carlson's part, and he's inviting him to Turning Point USA, I have no obligation to give money to his organization.
Just lost another huge Jewish donor.
Shut up. Okay? This is the setting here. Forget about the text right now. According to Josh Hammer, who was a friend of Charlie Kirk's, he said he was blowing off steam because he was angry at the fact that the donors said we're not going to support this. What's the problem here? Other than the fact that Carlson was acting immaturely. Because he knew bringing that man on would cause this. And he was angry that these donors were not willing to fund the bill for it. Why are they obligated to fund the bill for a man who has gone out of his way to demonize Israel? While they're fighting a goddamn war for their survival. Why is it so hard for people to believe? By the way, Candace Owens is an outright hater of... She is beyond saving. She is an anti-Semitic, evil woman. He said, I might just bring Candace on. His own people in the chat said, don't do it. Don't do it. He was obviously a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that they pulled money from his organization. What did he expect was going to happen? What did Kirk expect was going to happen? Instead of being a mature person and saying, okay, let me have a look at what he's been saying. Don't tell me that Charlie Kirk did not know what Tucker Carlson was saying on his shows. Anyway. And let's just hear what Matt Walsh says.
$2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this. And then he concludes, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Okay, so
Nice shirt.
So that's the story. So Charlie Kirk said in his text exchange that he was fed up with Jewish donors and that they live down to all the stereotypes and that he has no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. I have to tell you that I saw these texts like everyone else did when Candace released them, and I thought, I didn't say anything because I wanted to see how it played out, but I thought there was like a 40 or 50% chance that they were fake or at least partially fake. I didn't think that Candace faked them. I thought maybe someone else had faked it, given her something fake and lied to her. And the reason I thought that, it was really just because of that final line. Just that final line, the line about leaving the pro-Israel cause, like in those words exactly. It felt just kind of on the nose. It was so definitive, like the kind of thing a person might make up. But it turns out that it was not fake. Andrew Colvett, who, by the way, is great, doing a heroic job, I think, helping to steer the ship after this tragedy, after this atrocity. But he's confirmed them, so that's that. And I think the takeaway here, well, there's two things I want to say. First of all, let me tell you what this doesn't prove. It does not prove that Charlie was in any way dishonest or not forthright, or anything like that. And Candace, of course, has not accused him of that or implied it at all, just to be clear.
What?
But I have seen people on social media trying to twist this stuff to smear him in that way. So that is something that you see. And it's not fair, and it's not true. Charlie, in fact, expressed, first of all, he expressed a lot of these frustrations publicly. That's the first thing. And as a public person, he's also under no obligation to run out into the public in front of an audience, in front of a camera or a microphone, and just blab whatever thought or feeling he most recently had in his head.
Just
right?
like, by the same token, donors are not obligated to support his organization if he's not fulfilling what they had originally donated the money for. It works both ways. They're under no obligation to help him platform a hater like Tucker Carlson, who says outrageous things and is now doubling down on this ridiculous nonsense that he's spewing. They are under no obligation. And Kirk should not have been angry because Kirk knew this would happen. What was Kirk expecting? For these people to say, no, it's fine. Let him carry on after all he's said and everyone he's platformed. He platformed this douchebag too. Okay? Matt Walsh. Who has no sense of any sympathy or any kind of humanity in him. This guy claims to be a Christian. I don't know what church he belongs to. But he's a man devoid of any sympathy, any humility. If it's not happening in his backyard or his country, he doesn't give a stuff. And that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But in terms of this, and why I've decided to do this and make a video about this guy, not him, but this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, I said before, Charlie Kirk was getting arrogant. He was. Charlie Kirk had built TPUSA from the grassroots up. People like donors that he mentioned helped put his organization on the map and wanted to get behind him financially because they believed in what he was doing. One of those things was the support of Israel. Now, when Kirk decided, at what stage I don't know, decided he would invite Tucker Carlson to speak at TPUSA. A few, 2 years prior, I think he did have Candace Owens on, just after she got fired from the Daily Wire, in which she used her platform to smear the Daily Wire. And I don't remember Charlie Kirk saying anything to the fact that why Candace Owens was let go from the Daily Wire for extreme unprofessionalism and platforming very, very dodgy people and saying things that were not aligning with the company. So he had her on, which he used to go after the Daily Wire. Fair enough. In this case, donors, and that was when Candace Owens was still kind of walking the thin line there. She's gone completely now against anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, you name it. This incident was, I think, the last straw for these donors. Because they obviously had said to him, listen, we don't have a problem with, but why are you bringing on Tucker Carlson? And by the way, Tucker Carlson wasn't there to have a Q&A like Dave Smith. I could at least agree with the Dave Smith thing. Dave Smith's a buffoon and should not be given credibility, but he did have a debate with Josh Hammer. I'll give him that one. Carlson wasn't there to debate. Carlson was there to give a speech. And yes, he went after Israel and called Epstein a Mossad agent without any evidence. Megyn Kelly came on there. Also, Kirk and Megyn Kelly talking about him being a agent of Israeli intelligence with no evidence. No evidence. And I just want to give you the backdrop. Just before this conference, 2 young Jewish people were murdered outside a museum in Washington, D.C. Gunned down in cold blood. Okay? Remember all the riots, the marches from the river to the sea, graffiti on Jewish synagogues. The hate for Jews in America was palpable. Just after these 2 young people who were about to get married and have a life together, had it cut short by a leftist lunatic. Well, he's leftist. It all goes in the same direction. A Holocaust survivor at a vigil for the hostages was burnt alive by an Egyptian who overstayed his visa and decided to go to the march and attack these peaceful protests, and in doing burnt a Holocaust survivor alive. I want you to think about this for a second. And then you understand the callousness of people like Matt Walsh. This woman survived the Holocaust, where being a Jew in a camp was a death sentence. You didn't know if you were going to live through to see the next day. You didn't know where your children were. You didn't know where your husband was. They could have all been dead, and you would be either worked to death or gassed or taken out and shot into a pit. That's what that woman had to deal with on a daily basis. She makes it through to go to America and live a free life. And what happens in 2025? An insane Egyptian who overstayed his goddamn visa set her alight and killed her. I want you to let that sink in. This is the backdrop to what Charlie Kirk was doing, inviting on a person like Tucker Carlson. His donors, and by the way, we don't know if there were Jewish donors. Maybe there were Jewish donors, and they have every right to pull their money when he is inviting on people like Tucker Carlson. But that's the backdrop. So what does Kirk do? He invites on Tucker Carlson. Oh, you've convinced me to invite this guy. A more immature attitude I could not imagine. Not considering the fact that the atmosphere for Jews in America is becoming toxic. That these people were attacking synagogues. They just firebombed, they burnt down a synagogue in somewhere up in Michigan area. I'm not too sure. This is after. But you cannot deny that the attack on Jews specifically was increasing. Anti-Semitism had risen by 500%. Kirk, who claims to be pro-Israel, I have no doubt he was, but instead of saying to himself, listen, we've got a problem here. His organization had money coming in from Jewish donors. One of the main reasons is his pro-Israel stance. They look at the sheet and they see Tucker Carlson. What would be the point of inviting on Tucker Carlson? Not to mention that in this auditorium there were jeers and insults towards the Jewish people that were there at the conference that made them feel uncomfortable at this Turning Point USA conference. I just want to give you the backdrop of what was happening. Colson comes on, starts ranting on about Epstein and that he's a Mossad and criticizing Israel's not anti-Semitic and da-da-da-da-da-da and all the usual. People were getting up and walking out on the guy. Not all of them were Jews. Some of them were just people with a decent bone in their body. Kirk standing on stage. Didn't notice this? Didn't notice the polarization within his own organization, looking around and saying, hang on a second, what's going on here? You just brought this guy on. There's half cheering for him, half for booing him. If this was an attempt to bring his organization together, he failed. He failed. That's the backdrop. I just want you to understand the backdrop of this. Because he's not going to give you the backdrop. Instead, let's just hear what he says. Carry on.
In fact, his obligation, especially the position that he was in, as not just a public figure, not just a media personality, but also the head of an organization, a very powerful, large, important organization, his obligation is really close to the opposite of that. In his position, his responsibility was to be honest, of course, and he was honest. But also you have to be prudent, and you have to be measured, and you have to be thoughtful in what you say, and when you say it, and how you say it. And he was working through some really difficult...
Interesting you should say he's got to be thoughtful. Was he thoughtful? Is inviting on Tucker Carlson and inviting him on, not because he wants Tucker to give us insight. He invited on Tucker Carlson out of spite. Because he doesn't want to be told what to do. That's why Colson was on that stage. And didn't give a damn about what he said. Charlie Kirk. With all due respect, the man is dead. But you, my friend, were immature. And instead of taking the high road, instead of acting like a fucking adult, you chose to spite your donors and say, well, I'm going to bring him on anyway. And further divided his own organization. Thoughtful, Matt Walsh? Was he? Because he doesn't like being told what to do? These people are paying him or putting money into his organization because their hard-earned money, because they believe what he's doing is right and that his support of Israel is strong. Then he brings on Tucker Carlson and says, whoa, it's not the only thing that was bothering these donors. Him having a public airing his excuse me. Oops. Him airing his dirty laundry on Megyn Kelly's show in regards to people calling him an anti-Semite. Now, I don't believe that's right. I don't think Charlie Kirk was an anti-Semite by any stretch of the imagination. Or Megyn Kelly. But like Karis Rea said, are there enablers of anti-Semites? Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Instead of being worried about the actual anti-Semites within their own midst, they chose to focus on the people that called them anti-Semitic. A very small minority. And I think it's wrong. You're not helping us by doing that. But this was small. But instead of Kirk focusing on the majority who were supportive of him and said, we believe you're not an anti-Semite, it's ridiculous. And these people, unfortunately, we have them. He chose to focus on the minority. And Megyn Kelly. For what reason, I don't know. But it did not help him or Megyn Kelly. And it's arrogance on their part, to be perfectly honest with you. To say on that talk, on that interview, that you better watch it or you're not going to get my support. Listen, Megyn Kelly, if you don't want to support Israel, that's fine. You're taking it way too personally. So is Charlie Kirk. You don't want to support. These donors said, look, if you're going to do this, we can't support you. We're not going to put money into your organization if you're going to have on someone like Tucker Carlson. Yeah, you're his friend. You want to be a real friend to the douchebag? Tell him what he's saying is wrong. Not himself. But what he is doing is wrong and evil and lies. I really am fucking pissed at this kind of behavior. Carry on.
And he wanted to sort all that out within himself, personally.
Yeah, like you knew.
I'm assuming, before he said it in front of an audience. So, and that's what you do. So, there's nothing that makes me feel any different about Charlie at all. He was, as I said, the day after he was killed in my first show back, he was a great, and I've said many times since.
But we get it. You think he was a great man. Get on with the story.
And a virtuous and honest man. Very admirably honest. Unusually honest, in particular in politics.
Okay, we get it. He was honest. Get on with it.
And that still is the case. Hasn't changed at all. Secondly, okay, so the pro-Israel side lost Charlie Kirk. That's what he said in his message, in his own words.
Wait. Here.
Now, he may have been venting. He may have been expressing frustration. He obviously was doing that. He may not have flipped over to being actually actively anti-Israel. He didn't say that, but he did say that, hey, they lost me.
He didn't say that.
And they lost him because of how he was being treated. And
how was he being treated, Matt Walsh? And by the way, he didn't say he lost me. He said he's thinking about leaving the pro-Israel camp, which I'm sorry to say is the most immature way of putting it. And then saying, well, I'm just going to invite on Candace Owens. What are you, fucking 8 years old, you little douchebag? I know the guy's dead. But the more things come out about this guy, the more I'm not liking him. And his attitude. Was Charlie Kirk's support of Israel so shallow that one little bump in the road, he's going to just throw the toys out of the cot and just say, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I'm just going to leave the pro-Israel. Let me tell you something. If donors have a right to pull their money if they want to. Specifically if you're inviting on people like Tucker Carlson. Every right to. This is not about narrative. This is not about you need to work on your PR. By the way, the letter was written afterwards, was confirmed by the same guy who confirmed these texts, which said he wanted to help Israel's PR and said to Netanyahu to improve on his PR. Forget the fact the man's fighting a seven-front war. Okay? And people who choose to believe TikTok videos and nonsense like that believe that America is funding Israel, that there's no benefit for being an ally of Israel. By the way, it is a huge benefit for America. Way more than it is for Israel. Way more. Financially wise, intelligence wise, many, many more. Let's just get that out in the open right now. Charlie Kirk got angry at his donors because they had the temerity to want to pull their money from his organization for him platforming known anti-Semites like Tucker Carlson. Yes, he is an anti-Semite. He was obsessing about Israel, everything Israel, trying to break down the bond between the Americans and the Israelis. And by the way, it's not all the people. The loud people are the ones shouting, just like the left. They're no different than the left. Most of the young American people do love Israel and support Israel. Don't agree with everything Israel does, fine, I don't have a problem with that. But it was a minority. Okay? These were loud people. And that should have concerned Kirk more than him worrying about them telling him what to do because he was bringing on a fucking asshole like Carlson. That's my problem with this whole fucking thing. So hang on a second. It infuriates me, man. And also this guy's dry response to it really pisses me off. Okay, let's get back to him, because otherwise we'll go off again.
What he saw behind closed doors.
What did he see behind closed doors?
And he was obviously not alone in feeling that way. Because, listen, the pro-Israel side, as Charlie called it, has lost the majority of the American public.
No, they haven't. That's not true.
It doesn't have the
That's not true. Still vast amounts of Americans under the age of 30 still support Israel. Okay? Still support Israel. A lot of leftists support Hamas. And there was a growing thing on the right, and still is. But vast amounts of them do support Israel. More than the anti-Israel ones. That's the truth. So I don't know where you're getting your information from, Bigfoot. Got his fish, you know, he's trying to show he's one of the main American, he's got his, like he dresses like Carlson. Okay. I'm one of you. I go fishing every weekend with my kids.
God. At all,
douche.
which, who cares? That's fine. But it also doesn't have a huge chunk of the right. And it wasn't always that way.
Why do you think that is?
Like at all.
Why do you think that is?
Doesn't have support globally. It's just failed to persuade the vast majority of people. That's the fact.
But why?
That's the reality.
Well, it's not the reality, Matt Walsh, but why? Is it possible that countries like Qatar, which you don't mention, by the way, they're building a military facility for Qatar in your country. Okay, in your country. And your president has just signed an executive order saying that the United States military is obligated to defend Qatar. Talk about Israel. Oh, Israel gets us into wars. Israel gets our people to go into Iraq and fight. Your president has signed an executive order that they are obligated to protect a tiny little sand monkey country in the Middle East. Use your resources, your soldiers, to fight for them. Don't talk to me about Israel. Last time I checked, the people dying in Gaza were Israeli soldiers. No Americans were involved. So I'm asking, you're saying, oh, they've lost a huge chunk of the right. It's a fact. Well, it's not a fact. There's a lot of people that still support Israel. Way more than the anti-Israel. But why? Is it possible that a lot of your ilk on the right have been turning on Israel, have been receiving funds from Qatar? Qatar targeted the right and certain influences to turn on Israel. And they're doing a damn good job about it. What has Israel done that you don't agree with, or these people don't agree with? Oh, they're committing genocide. No, they're not. There's no proof of any genocide. Starvation. No proof of any starvation. Oh, so we just believe the propaganda coming out from Hamas? That should concern you more than the anti-Israel, that they are believing a terrorist organization. That should concern you a little bit more. But of course it won't, because he doesn't care about anything happening outside America. It's happening in your country, sir. Your people are believing terrorists. Your people are calling Israel a demonic nation founded by pedophiles. That's a direct quote from Candace Owens. She'd rather cut off her feet and her hands than support Israel. Let's make that dream come true for her. That's what she said. This is the same woman who provided these texts of Charlie Kirk letting off steam what Josh Hammer, who knew Charlie better than Matt Walsh, said that he was doing. Then proceeded to have a Zoom call with Charlie Kirk to talk about how they can combat this anti-Semitism that's rising on the right. Are you calling Josh Hammer a liar? He didn't do that. Josh Hammer is now being targeted by has been told by Candace Owens, accused Josh Hammer of being implicated in Charlie Kirk's murder. And excuse me, Josh Hammer is looking at taking legal action. Oh my God, I hope he does. Absolutely, he should take legal action. Go on.
If you're on the pro-Israel side, you really need to be honest with yourself and engage in some actual honest self-reflection and self-analysis.
What do you mean? Why do you say that?
Because you're losing the argument. I mean, you're just losing.
No, hang on a second. No. There should be a discussion on the pro-Israel right, because you're losing the argument. You're losing the. What about a faithful discussion on the side of the people that are turning against Israel? What about looking into why these people have felt the need to come out against Israel? That should concern you more than the pro-Israel side. Now, I know you don't care about Israel or any other country outside of your borders. That's fine. I don't care that you don't care. Frankly, I don't give a fuck about your country. I don't. It's not part of my country. Yeah, they're a superpower, but frankly, what happens in America is not my business. I don't care. But if you're going to, because you care, you don't care about what happens out there, but you're commenting on this, Matt Walsh. Okay? So you've put yourself out there. What about asking the other side, the side that's turning against Israel, to ask some questions? Because their perception of it is that Israel is killing children, that Israel is starving the Gazans, that Israel is committing a genocide when the entire population is growing. That's the side that needs to ask certain questions. Am I being truthful about this hatred for Israel? That are so obsessed with Israel, it literally dominates their shows. That's the side that needs to start asking the questions, Matt Walsh. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. And those are the people that need some self-reflection. Because when you start supporting a terrorist organization over a state that is fighting a war they didn't start, their people were murdered and massacred in the most brutal way possibly imaginable. And they went to fight this enemy and destroy it. people in your camp can't, you won't call out those people, but you'll say to the pro-Israel side, you need a time for reflection. You know, you need to, because you're losing the argument. It's a fact. You're losing the argument. No. What about the people making the arguments? What about the people accusing Israel of genocide where they have no proof? What about the people imitating the left and what they're saying? Right? Or do you support a terrorist organization? That's the questions that should be asked on the right.
You are.
Not the Israeli side.
And I've never seen any side of any argument lose this much support this quickly. I can't think of any other example of something like this. And if you're on that side, you need to have the courage and humility to ask yourself what you're doing wrong.
You're talking about courage and humility? You have neither of those virtues, sir. You're sitting in your log cabin. Humility? The people making the arguments need humility. The people who are going and going after Jews as if they're some kind of demonic, they're the ones who need humility and need to ask themselves questions. How am I in this camp? It's not Israel's place to ask those. Israel's not doing anything wrong in terms of a legal war they're fighting against a barbaric terrorist organization. It's not them that has to ask the questions. It's people like you and your side. I know you don't care about this topic, yet you're commenting on it, so I have every right to come in and criticize you and your opinions. But you're wrong. And this is not helping anybody, Matt Walsh. The people that need to ask the questions are the people...
Now, sure.
Shut up. Are the people that are making these accusations against the Jewish state and Jews. Come.
When you are going out with a message and nobody is buying it, and even people who were buying it suddenly are not anymore. Now you could say, oh, well, it's everybody but me. It's all them. Everyone is against me and it's all their fault. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's possible that's the case. In the whole history of the world, when people feel ganged up on and I'm not doing anything wrong and they're doing everything wrong, on occasion that could be true.
Yeah, I mean, ask yourself why Jews have been kicked out of every country in the world. 119 countries. They've been kicked out of so they were wrong every time they caused it. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Matt Walsh? Jews being killed in the heart, that's their fault. Being kicked out of Spain, that's their fault. Being persecuted by Christians, by Catholic. You're a Catholic, aren't you? Some horrendous shit you did to the Jews. It's their fault. Israel existing, it's their fault. Ask yourself this. Who is the country, who are the people that want peace? And who are the people that want to destroy Israel or destroy You get on the side of the people that want peace and want to and are doing the right thing by defending their people from annihilation. I would assume you'd figure out those are the good guys that don't go around massacring people, raping them, burning their babies alive. You'd think you'd get on the side of the people which the atrocities were committed against. That would be a sane thing to do, correct? You got questions? Ask them. Bring a guy on from Israel. Ask him the questions. I mean, you want to comment on it, but you don't want to care about it, but you comment on it. And your analysis is so misguided. Listen, he later goes, oh, well, they're probably going to call me an anti-Semite, covering all the bases. I don't think you're an anti-Semite, Matt Walsh. I don't believe that at all. I think you're misinformed. I think you are arrogant. And I think you are not willing to call out your side and have those uncomfortable conversations, which Charlie Kirk was having. You don't want to call out your side. That's your problem. You don't want to turn around and say, well, Tucker has been saying outrageous things about the Jews. You don't want to go and say Candace Owens is saying crazy stuff and deeply anti-Semitic stuff. You don't want to do that. But it's the pro-Israel side that has to do the soul searching. Correct? Is that what I'm getting from this conversation? Candace Owens is saying Israel is a demonic state and run by demons and they're pedophiles and they're this and they're everything. She stubs her toe. She gets a rash on her pussy. She fucking blames Israel for it. You don't want to call her out. You're doing exactly what Kirk did. You're doing exactly what Kirk did. You can't call out your own side, can you, Matt Walsh? Can you? We don't need to question anything. We know who we stand with. You, on the other hand, where do you stand? Not to say you have to care about Israel. I don't want you on our team, quite frankly. You fucking annoy me. But please don't tell me and our side that we have to soul search and figure out what we're doing wrong. We're fighting a goddamn war for our survival, you cocksucker. Something you've never had to deal with. It's not got nothing. You think you march out to some fucking place and talk about transgenderism, you're doing an incredible work. These people are actually fighting for their country. Have lost loved ones. Have lost their sons and daughters. You've lost nothing, sir.
But most of the time in life, you got to look at common denominators. And most of the time in life, when you're going around and your message is just not resonating with anyone, almost.
Really?
There's
Excuse me.
You got to look at yourself.
Really?
That's the case most of the time.
Yeah, speaking to yourself, I see.
But that doesn't seem to happen. You know, I don't see a lot of like self-reflection here.
You know something? He could be talking about himself right here. This is not about Israel. He's talking about himself. Maybe it's time for you on the right to look into your own ranks, some self-reflection, Matt Walsh, and start questioning what is the motives of these people. Why are they going after Israel? What has Israel ever done to them? Why is Candace Owens bringing out anti-Semitic tropes and blood libels from the Middle Ages? Why is Tucker Carlson having on a ghoul from fucking the nun who basically just lied through her teeth the entire time, with not one pushback from Carlson? When Carlson went to interview Vladimir Putin and push Russian propaganda, when he went and we could just go on a whole laundry list. When Candace Owens had on that guy from the Liberty who lied about what happened and uses it for his own shameless self-promotion and money-making. But there's money in blaming the Jews. You know that, Walsh. You know that. There's a lot of money to be made. And you're quite happy. You sit there as if you're inconsequential. You're not taking a side. You are taking a side. And let me tell you something. Your self-reflection, you're self-projecting. It's your side that has to ask these questions. You have to go and say, what is going on? Or is Jew hatred fine? As long as it's not me and my kids suffering, don't give a fuck. Fine, you can have that attitude. But you're commenting on this. And just like you have free speech, I have free speech. And I have every right to call you out and expose you for the fucking tool that you are. It's unacceptable. You want self-reflection? Start with your own people. The people that you associate with. Start asking them hard questions. It's not about the pro-Israel side. Why aren't they accepting the narrative? Why aren't they Why aren't they accepting the narrative, and why aren't they buying this thing? Buying what? Buying what? They've bought the Palestinian side, that Israel's a dictatorship and they want to kill everybody and they want to ethnically cleanse Gaza and all this shite. By the way, any people that need to be ethnically cleansed, I believe the Palestinians should be. They're a detriment to that area. They give nothing. They attack their neighbors on a regular basis. Civilians took part in the October 7th massacre, sir. Yes, they have no right to a state. Absolutely not. You wouldn't call for it in your backyard. Why do you expect Israel to do it? But anyway, he didn't say that, so I'm not going to go there. But listen to more of the schlock that this... Look at him. He's such a dolt.
Should be, especially now. I mean, this should be the kind of thing. If you're on that side of the argument and you see these text messages, it's the kind of thing that should make you sit back and go, wow. Even Charlie was feeling that way?
Yeah, but he wrote a letter.
But instead what happens is that typically they'll do what the donors were doing to Charlie, apparently, scold and point fingers and throw the anti-Semitism charge around.
Okay, first of all, that's not what the donors did. They didn't call him an anti-Semite. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. If you're on that side, so what side are you on, Matt Walsh? You claim to be impartial, but it sounds to me like you're taking the side of the fucking haters here. That's fine. You can go. I don't care if you hate Israel. Go for it. I don't give a shit. But that's not what the donors did. There were people that called him an anti-Semite. Yes, there are people in the pro-Israel camp who are knee-jerk. I get it. Or some of them are bots. You get that from the other side too. From your side. If we want to divide the right. Oh, no. That's not what the donors did. The donors were concerned with the fact that Charlie Kirk was bringing on someone like Tucker Carlson. Don't sit here and tell me that Tucker Carlson was not going after, it was obsessing, or it is obsessing over Israel and Jews. Uses his friend. What about him using his friend Charlie Kirk's memorial to go take a jab at the Jews for killing Christ and Charlie Kirk, implicating both. That's what he did. Before that, used his time on Charlie Kirk's show with J.D. Vance to go after Netanyahu. Just because he doesn't say the name, we all knew who he meant. Not going to call him out. Not going to call him out. But the pro-Israel need self-reflection. We're not buying this. Never been to the area, of course. Never been. But he knows. He knows from his log cabin in God knows where the hell he is. Inbreeding fucking whatever. He knows. Fucking cocksucker.
And, I mean, they'll do it to me because of what I'm saying right now, right? This is going to get clipped.
Oh.
It's going to be, see, he's woke right, he's anti-Semitic, he's,
You think way too much of yourself. I don't think you're an anti-Semite. I don't think you're... I'm not going to clip this video. I'm playing it in its entirety. I'm saying that you are grossly misinformed, willingly misinformed. You don't know about the area. You don't know about the conflict. And you've got free speech, and you can, but I've got free speech. I'm not calling you an anti-Semite, Matt Walsh. I would never do that. I don't believe you hate Jews. I don't think that. I think you're grossly misinformed, and I think that you are talking about your own people, the people you refuse to call out on your side of the aisle, that are engaging in blatant anti-Semitic tropes. And you are not willing. Either you don't know about it or you're not willing to call them out, just like Megyn Kelly. You can't call out your own side. Something, so I've got a lot of disagreements with Steven Crowder, but one thing I admire about Steven Crowder is willingness to call out his own side. He says if we're going to have hygiene If we're going to demand hygiene on the left side, we need to demand it on our side. And that's what he's been doing. I wish he'd call out a bit more, name some names, but he's on the way there. But his attitude is right. Saying, this is a problem. These people are not honest actors. When you have on someone who is an anti-Semitic Christian who has praised the October 7th massacres, dressed the baby Jesus in a keffiyeh, claims that Jesus Christ was Palestinian when he was nothing of, he was an Orthodox Jew, there's a problem. When you're saying that Israel's Christian population is being persecuted, when they are the only growing Christian community in the Middle East, you're lying. You're lying. And that needs to be called out. Colson needs to be called out, and you're not doing it. You're not prepared to rock the boat. That's my problem with you. You say you don't care about this whole thing. You are commenting on it. And I'm asking you, if you're so, you're losing support. Your side needs to do some self-reflection. The Israel supporters, you're talking pretty much about his own side. Self-projection. This happens all the time. Instead of turning around saying, what is going on with these people? The people that I'm friends with. Michael Knowles the same. Just because you have maths with Candace Owens doesn't mean you can't call her out, Michael Knowles. Or your godfather to her children. Hey? When she's saying blatant anti-Semitic tropes and hanging around with the likes of Andrew Tate, an actual woman abuser, an actual toxic masculinity, whatever, Myron Gaines and all the rest of these fuckfaces. There is hygiene that needs to come on your side, and you're not willing to admit it. Instead, you turn to go after the pro-Israel to say they need self-reflection. They're not buying it, your message. There's cleanup that needs to happen on your side. Forget about the transgender swimmer and the trans people in your... This is a bit more serious because I think your country is on the brink. Your moral value is called into question. Your moral virtues are being called into question. It's not the Israeli side that needs soul searching, it's your side. And you need to start calling them out. If you really believe in what you're saying here, sir. Instead of reverting to, oh, they're going to take us out of God and they call me an anti-Semite. No one's calling you an anti-Semite. Not here. I'm not calling you an anti-Semite. At all. I call you a bad dresser. I call you a geek-looking fucking piece of garbage. But I didn't call you an anti-Semite. I don't believe that at all. But you need to call out your side and self-reflect on your side, not on the pro-Israel side.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
No, fuck off. You wish.
I will get rebuked even by some people who I would consider friends,
Nah.
or at least friendly. So it's like you could just, it's like you know it's going to happen. It will, and they won't be able to help themselves, and they will do it. Even though everything I'm saying right now is just true. I'm giving you an analogy.
It's not true. That's the problem. Okay, I'm not going to let him carry on.
The state of affairs, and it's not any kind of, you don't have to be a genius to figure this out. If you did, I wouldn't have figured it out because I'm not a genius. But you can look around and see, like, okay, clearly you're losing the argument.
No, they're not.
And if you're going to conduct any kind of honest inventory here, this is the first place you should start. And I'll tell you the first major mistake you've made is that you push out your allies or your potential allies if they don't toe the line 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Wait a second. How is it towing the line by not inviting on someone like Tucker Carlson? I've said Tucker Carlson has been saying outrageous mentally ill things about Jews. He has taken a particular delight in going after the Jewish people and Israel. Don't tell me he hasn't, Matt Walsh. And the people that were donating money, not all of them, they still had the thing on and he still went on. But people who couldn't in good conscience give money to an organization that is allowing a man like Tucker Carlson airtime. And the leader of that organization is quite happy to allow him to spew his lies and spew his disgusting rhetoric. The self-reflection is on your side. And it's not about arguments. If he really wanted to do that argument thing, he would have had Tucker debate a pro-Israel guy. But he didn't. Carlson probably refused because he knows he can't stand scrutiny. It's easier for him to hide in his little log cabin in wherever the hell he lives and talk shit without any pushback whatsoever. That's why he will never debate Ben Shapiro. That's why he'll never either Candace Owens, because they know they don't have a leg to stand on. They're quite more comfortable saying these things from the comfort of their studios with no pushback. Okay? The fact of the matter is he brought him on. One of the reasons main reason he brought him on was despite the donors. The donors weren't impressed with him. They have every right to pull their money. It's not about arguing for Israel. It's about common decency and maturity on the side of Charlie Kirk. And if this made Charlie Kirk want to leave the pro-Israel side, his support of Israel was extremely shallow. I'm sorry. Extremely shallow. Because the first little nudge or, hey, can you just... They're playing into all the stereotypes. Why? Because they don't want you to bring on someone like Tucker Carlson because they're paying for it, you fucker. Why should they pay for a guy like Tucker Carlson to spew his vitriol against Israel? And claim that Epstein was a Mossad agent when he was nothing of the sort, with no evidence. And that's not going to divide? Put yourself in a Jewish person's shoes for 1 minute in your goddamn forsaken life, Matt Walsh. Step out of character for a second and put yourself in the shoes of Jewish people. And think about how it would affect you and your family. Knowing that one of the biggest organizations out there supposedly has a pro-Israel stance is allowing on a person like Tucker Carlson to spew his vitriol. Some fucking self-awareness, man.
And perfect, clean record of being pro-Israel in every way, in all cases, all the time, always. If they fail that test, you push them out, you label them woke right, you label them anti-Semitic.
No, it's not what people are doing.
And that's what Charlie experienced.
That's not what people are doing.
But he also was friends with Tucker and wanted to have a conversation with Tucker.
He didn't have a conversation. Well, he did, but...
which also makes sense.
Why?
He was... That's the right thing, by the way.
No, it's not.
That Charlie was perfectly justified and had every right to talk to whoever he wants.
My God, man. No, he wasn't. If he had brought Carlson on to debate, like he brought the comedian guy, who's an idiot. He's an idiot. I can't stand him, but he actually debated Josh Hammer. If he had brought Carlson on to debate with someone, I would have said it was fine. But that's not what he did. He brought him on, had a conversation with him in which Carlson labeled Epstein a fucking Mossad agent with no evidence. Then went on to make a fucking speech in which he accused Israel of supporting this guy. And other things that he brought up. That is not good. It's not acceptable. Certainly not to his donors. They have every right to pull their money if they feel their cause is not being supported. Absolutely. And it was immature of Charlie Kirk to do it. Because he wasn't doing it out of good faith. He was doing it to spite the donors. To rub it in their faces. Well, you do that, you lose our money. everyone walks away a winner. If Charlie Kirk's intention was to lose donors, he was doing a very good job. This is disgusting to me. You are not prepared, sir, to call out your own side. You're not prepared to look in your backyard at the people you associate with and say, hang on a second, what is your obsession with Israel? Why are you choosing the only Jewish state to go after? You say they accuse them of genocide, you accuse them of all this, yet I look at the things and it's not happening. It's a war. It's a war. A war that Israel did not ask for. All Israeli people want, you want to know what, the Israeli people don't give a fuck about you and your country. They don't. A lot of them don't. All they want is to live in peace. All they want is to send their kids to college. They don't want to send their kids to the army. They don't want their kids to go put their lives on the line for the country. Of course not. They have to. And they do it willingly. But that's not what they want. They want peace. Every single time they've sued for peace. It's the Arabs that reject it outright every single time. And when they're in a war that is their survival is on the line. You get people like Colson, you get people like these who come out with nonsense for their own personal grudge against the Jewish people. You're quite happy to support that? Really? And you want to talk about free speech? Well, if Colson was going to debate someone on these subjects, I would have said that's fine. Perfectly acceptable. But I said, of course, no, donors don't pull him and let Colson be destroyed. Because he had no arguments. But that's not what Kirk did. He brought him on, had a nice fireside chat with him, then proceeded to give him the floor and let him just rail on Israel. That's not a person who supports Israel. I'm sorry, it's not. Out of spite? Out of spite. Well, out of spite, they pulled their money. And they had every right to do it. And it's not calling him an anti-Semite and a hater of Israel. Yes, there were dumbasses that did that. No one's calling you an anti-Semite here, Matt Walsh. No one's calling you a hater of Israel. I'm calling you misinformed, and I'm calling you bullshit bluff. You need to reflect on your side. You need to look at the people who are making these arguments. Where they're coming from. Who's paying them? That doesn't interest you whatsoever. Qatari influence on the right, it does not interest you whatsoever. Interference in your politics, in your pundits, from a foreign entity, does not interest you, Matt Walsh? Or is it just about the trannies down at the local library? Is that all it is?
It's a platform, whoever he wants. That, of course, is true.
Yeah,
but he just has the right to do it. He was right to do it.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, if you're going to have a big event like America Fest, huge event, great event, I'll be at it this year.
Will you?
Yeah, Tucker should be there.
No, he shouldn't.
It would be absurd for him not to be there.
No.
But what Charlie experienced is that because of that, we're going to withdraw our money.
Yeah.
We're going to take the funding away.
Every right to.
And yeah, you have the right to do that. You have the right to take your money and do what you want with it. But this is the problem. Okay, this is why. It doesn't work. It's not persuasive.
No, what's not persuasive is having a man on like Tucker Carlson, not to debate, to make a speech. Why is Carlson in that organization? What dirt does he have on these people that he is allowed to speak with impunity and not be challenged? Because you notice Tucker Carlson never debates. He went and took on Ted Cruz, which he proceeded to talk over him with that ridiculous laugh of his and try and snare him. I'm surprised Cruz didn't punch him in the face. The guy's a little turd, okay? And he's wrong about what he said. Now he's saying the usual replacement theology shit that he comes out with, his usual crap. Don't sit here and tell me, Bigfoot, that you fucking don't believe, this elk-snelt mountain man doesn't believe that Tucker Carlson's been having on some of the... Did you know that he praised Sharia law? Do you know that? Do you know that he's involved with the Qataris? He was paid by the Qataris? Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Really? A country that funds Hamas? A country that's anti-American? Is a slave state? That doesn't bother you, Matt Walsh? Really? Oh, if it's not happening in America, well, you know. My God. This is what's going to get your country lost. This kind of attitude. This dry kind of, oh, well, it's not happening in my backyard. What do I care? Yeah, it will eventually come to your backyard. And it will be too late. These people are in your country. They are working in your country. They are trying to poison the minds of your young people against the United States. Forget about Israel for a second. There's been people in Michigan shouting for the extermination of America. Okay? This is in your country. Forget about Israel. Israel's doing what it has to do. It's fighting this demonic. You're not. You're not doing anything of the sort. You are defending the propagandists in your country because they're from your side of the aisle. That's what you're doing, Matt Walsh. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Absolutely. And Charlie Kirk was wrong to do this. He was wrong. He should not have invited Tucker Carlson. He should have made it clear to Tucker Carlson, he's a friend, but I don't agree with what you're saying. He didn't invite Candace Owens this time. He threatened. His own colleagues said, don't do it. He was doing it purely as an immature threat. Come.
See that, and they say, okay, well, you're just a bully, and you won't, and you will not allow any conversation to happen at all.
No, that's not true.
And I've encountered a version of this too many times. You know, as everyone knows.
No one said that they have these no conversations at all. What are you talking about, you douchebag? There were plenty of people that came on there and had conversations and had debates. But Carlson, a polarized person like Carlson, with everything that he's been doing for the last 2 years, that's not going to piss off a couple of people? It's one thing to bring on Carlson and have him debate. It's another thing to come and give him the floor and let him waft on with his ridiculous antics. That's the difference. Carlson doesn't want to debate because he knows he'd lose and his reputation would be gone. That's not what he did. That's not what Kirk did. He smooched this guy. He wined and dined him. Because why? Because he's his friend, and he wrote the thing to his book. He's in his pocket, as far as I can tell. The self-reflection, I'm going to say it again, is on your side. The people you're defending. That's where the self-reflection needs to come. And questions need to be asked about your side of this issue. Because it's clear to me that you are not willing to even think about calling out Tucker Carlson for what he's been saying, for the guests he's been having on. This guy has been praising Sharia law. He, what else did he do? Called Israel an illegitimate state. Thinks Qatar, do you think Qatar is your greatest ally, Matt Walsh? Do you? Do you think Qatar has your best interests at heart? Because apparently your US army is going to defend them and die for them. Not Israel. Really? This is the theater of the absurd. The country that provides most of the intelligence that keeps you and douchebags like yourself safe. You're kicking in the teeth. You are saying need to have better arguments and you need self-reflection. Oh, well, we'll self-reflect on not giving you intelligence anymore. And you're on your own. And it doesn't matter how big your stupid country is, more room for the terrorists to get in. Israel's not got that option or luxury. Fucking cocksucker. Sorry, I wasn't going to be rude about him, but really the guy pisses me off. He's a real piece of shit.
My position.
My position. No, we don't.
And it hasn't changed.
What's your position?
That I'm not pro or anti-Israel. I'm not pro or anti any foreign country. Very consistent about that.
It seems like you've got an opinion on this. You're talking about it, are you not? So you do have an opinion. And that's fine. You can have any opinion you want. I really don't care about... I don't care that you don't have a... You don't care you don't have an opinion. I don't care. I don't care about your country. It could burn tomorrow for all I care. Don't give a shit. But don't sit here, because that pisses me off. Don't sit here and try and blame the side that's being hampered. Blame the side that is not being propaganda spewed out on TikTok on a regular basis, using kids with diseases as though there's some famine in Gaza. Okay? Or starvation and all this other shite. When Israeli soldiers are being killed, fighting for their country. Matt Walsh has never fought for his country. He has no idea how to fight for his country. These little bitches would be hiding in their fucking basements if anything like an October 7th happened in America. I guarantee it. Half of them would be fucking crapping themselves, hiding, running, screaming. Because they don't have mandatory military service in the USA. They should. Maybe it'll teach this guy a bit of fucking clarity. But Israel doesn't have that option. It's either we fight and win or we die. And yet they're one of the most happiest countries on the face of the earth. America's not. Very unhappy country. Very uneven country. Very disunited country. Yeah, self-reflection on your side, sir. That's where the self-reflection has to happen. That's where the difficult questions have to be asked. Do these people belong in our ranks? Are they projecting what we believe, the conservatives believe? Are they asking good questions, or are they just spewing hate? These are questions you need to ask, Matt Walsh, not from the pro-Israeli side, from your side, sir. Or the people you choose not to condemn. How am I going there?
I don't care about any country but my own. That's just my opinion. That's my perspective.
I don't care.
Might not be yours. You might not.
It's not.
You might feel that it's wrong.
Certainly not. I don't care. I don't give a damn.
Simplistic. You might feel that you might feel however you want to feel about it. I don't really care.
Well, I don't really care that you don't really care.
Always has been. My entire adult life, I'm very consistent about this.
I don't care.
I don't want foreign aid to any country, including Israel, and I always call out when I feel the U.S. is getting involved in something that it shouldn't get involved in. And if they're getting involved in something, from my perspective, for the sake of Israel, and I don't think they should, I'll say that.
When were they?
The Iran intervention.
Intervention? Oh my fucking God. Sorry, Lord. Sorry. Oh my God. Intervention. All you did was fly 3 F5, it was F5s or, oh, what the fuck, B2s, sorry. Lovely aircraft. Well, actually, no, they're not really attractive looking. It looks like from the side, it looks like a tick. But anyway, just hang on, sweetie. Dropped bombs on the sites, nuclear sites. By the way, benefits America. You don't want Iran having nuclear weapons. Destroyed them and promptly flew back unmolested to the States. That's all they did. Israel took out the command of the Iranians, made them look so weak and shit, at the same time taking out Houthis, at the same time taking out Hamas, at the same time taking out Hezbollah. That's all Israel did. That's everything Israel did. What did you do? Fly a B-2 bombers. and drop it on the sites. Made it all about yourselves. Oh, we did it. We intervened. Intervention. I don't think Israel asked you to intervene. I think Trump made a decision. He saw Israel's kicking butt and wanted a piece of the action. And that's what he did. And to probably spite Colson and his ilk, who said this is World War III. Well, now, what's your thoughts on being indebted and obligated to go to war over Qatar, and your soldiers being maimed and killed for Qatar's sake? Where are you on that, Matt Walsh? Because that's what your president did. He signed an executive order saying that if Qatar gets attacked, America gets attacked. Meaning you are obligated to go and fight for the Qataris with all the values they have. A slave state. A country that's been funding your colleges for the direct purpose of poisoning the minds of the young people of America to hate America. Where are you on that? And you're going to fight to the bitter end for them. Israel never asks you to fight for them. They do their own fighting. They kill their enemies. They've killed all their enemies on their own without any American help. The only thing you fucking Yanks did was build a floating pier that got washed to Ashdod or Ashkelon. Twice. And you fucking literally dropped aid on top of Gazans, crushing them. And then refused to take responsibility. That's what you fucking Yanks did. Okay? So we're going to talk about priorities here. You can care all you want about your own country. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that you don't give a fuck. I don't care about your country, dude. I don't give a shit. It could burn down tomorrow. That's not my problem. But to sit here and have the audacity to say it's about you guys. You're not winning this argument. You're fucking talking about, you're not winning us over. What are we obligated to win you over for? What about good versus evil? When you go into a country, rape, murder, and pillage, and take 250 hostages, hold them in goddamn tunnels, like animals, that's evil. You can agree on that, can we not? We can agree that it's evil when your citizens go and in the wake of what the Hamas terrorists did, go and rape and murder and overtime, steal the phone and phone your mother, rejoicing that you've killed 10 Jews with your hand. With your own hands. You can say that's evil. And you would know which side you're on. The guys who are going into Gaza and taking out this terrorist organization, we can all agree. But that's what was happening. People were saying, watching TikTok and getting influenced by people like Candace Owens. People that you refuse to say, you're fucking kooky. Do you believe Israel took out Charlie Kirk? That's what she's saying. And Colson, your buddy Colson to a certain degree, and some other people. That's what they're saying. Do you agree with that? Well, I don't care. It's not my problem. Okay, fine. Then don't comment on it. Why should we even bother with you and your stupid shirt if you don't give a shit?
Well, I'll also call out the Islamic invasion of the U.S. I spent several days just over the past couple of weeks talking about that. I did
when did you call it?
Just about the situation in Dearborn. I've talked about many times. I've spent a lot of time on.
Well, you're such a hero.
Somalia,
For a guy doesn't care, he's certainly trying to make out that he has done this and he has done that and he has done this and he has done. Yeah, you called out what in Dearborn? Oh, great! You're such a hero. Wow. Yeah, you got a problem in Dearborn, Michigan, that's for sure. And you're not helping the situation by what you're doing here.
So I'll talk about that too. So I think I'm pretty damn consistent in my own principles when it comes to this stuff. And the show.
Don't call me an anti-Semite. Oh.
They're mine, and I'm consistent. America first. I call it anything that I think is not America first.
So why aren't you calling out Colson? Why aren't you calling out Candace Owens? Do you believe they're America first? Why aren't you calling out Megyn Kelly for not condemning them? Why aren't you calling out, I don't know, a litany of people on your side that are saying some of the most disgusting things that any civilized person would not tolerate? I'm consistent. You can't call me an anti-Semite. I'm so worried about being called an anti-Semite. No one's calling you an anti-Semite, Matt Walsh. I'm certainly not. But I think you're misinformed, and I think you're a goddamn hypocrite. And the fact you're sitting there with that smug face and that smug look on your face is disgusting to me. Israel's been through hell and back. Hell and back. I don't remember them requesting you talk about it. Charlie Kirk talked about it ad nauseum. He was insensitive when he came out on Patrick Bet-David's show, excuse me, talking about this. I think this was a setup and all this kind. There were people still murdering. They hadn't even identified all the bodies. And he was coming out with that bullshit. It's insensitive. Have a little humility. Fucking assholes. Go on, douchebag.
I also call out the Israel obsession on the other side, the anti-Israel side, the tendency to bring everything back to Israel all the time.
Oh, really? What about Candace Owens? Really?
There's a tendency on that side to be Israel first from the other direction. I've made that.
No. You're fucking up now, bro. You said that? Oh, the Israel thing, but everything Israel does is Israel's involved. Have you said Candace Owens is full of shit? Have you called out Tucker Carlson? Because that's what he does. A little self-awareness. Oh, douchebag. You haven't called them out. Why? Why haven't you called them out, Matt Walsh? You say, I've done this and I've done that and I call this one. No, you haven't called them out. You haven't. You haven't called them out.
On X, on every platform. Just being consistent, which means that if you're pro-Israel, you may not agree with some of my takes.
No, I don't.
There's no reason why I should be your enemy. Because you'll also agree.
I haven't called you my enemy, sir. I've called you misinformed.
And yet, I've been labeled woke right.
By who? By who?
I just saw this today. I don't even know who it was. Just a tweet that popped up. One of many. I see them all the time. But someone was. I was just catching some conversation. I wasn't even about me, but I was catching a stray. Someone said, "Oh, Matt Walsh is constantly engaging in anti-Semitic tropes."
What?
And I see this all the time. What? What are you even talking
about?
Okay,
one douchebag fucking calls you an anti-Semite. You're gonna just go off on a fucking tangent? I don't believe you're anti-Semitic. I've never said that. I don't believe Michael Knowles is anti-Semitic. Of course I don't. But there are anti-Semites in your ranks, namely Carlson and Candace Owens. Those are actual anti-Semites. Yet you don't have the balls to call them out. Some little douchebag fucking calls you an anti-Semite. You want to just throw in the towel? Really? You're that sensitive? I don't believe that at all. But I think you're an idiot. And I think you are covering for these people. God knows why. Because you're friends. You're indebted to them. They've had you on their shows. It takes courage to call out your friends, not just your enemies. It takes courage. Unless you agree with them, which I don't believe. But courage, it takes courage not to just call out the enemies. It takes courage to call out the friends. Friends who are saying outrageous, crazy shit. That is also brave. More brave than the enemies, because you know who the enemies are. I know who the leftists are. I know exactly who they are. But it's harder to turn and call out your friends, who you've had a relationship with, who you know intimately, to say to them, in love, I think what you're doing is wrong. and you are not helping anybody. You're blaming Israel for everything wrong, and you're not choosing to look at what is actually happening. That takes bravery, Matt Walsh, not this.
But this is what they're talking about. It's just not towing the line 100%. And I don't tow any line. I mean, the only line I tow is my own line. You know, I have my own line, I have my own line, the things that I care about, and that's what I tow. I don't tow any other lines.
Oh, for God's sake, shut the fuck up.
And like I said, that's going to happen in reaction to what I'm saying right now. And that's your problem. You know, this all or nothing strategy.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a problem, someone calling you out, so no one can call you out, Matt Walsh. Is it interesting these people always say, well, I call out this, but you calling me out is wrong. I can call out whoever I want, but you calling me out is wrong. Because I'm right. You're not right. You're not right, Matt Walsh. What you are saying here is a self-reflection, self-projection of moon gravity proportions. The very people you're talking about are the people on your side of the aisle. Namely Candace Owens, namely Tucker Carlson. There are other people, even Megyn Kelly, to a certain degree. To say, we need hygiene on our side too. You've got people inviting on would-be historian. Carlson has on a pseudo-historian who knows nothing about history, has no degrees, calls him the best historian, the biggest historian in the US, who's never studied history, who spews the telltales of David Irving, has on people like Ian Carroll, who is a known anti-Semite to the roots of his dago hair, and looks like a 70s porn star. You're not going to call them out for lies? Oh, I toe my own line. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're towing your own line? No, you're not. You're towing the line for your friends. That's what you're doing. Let's not kid around here. You're towing the line for Carlson. You're towing the line for Candace Owens. You're towing the line for all these evil people. Refusing to acknowledge that they are spewing evil and hatred. This will destroy the MAGA movement. Mark my words. This is not good for the MAGA or conservative movement, because this cancer is growing. And the refusal of people like Matt Walsh to call it out and come on here and say it's on that side, the Israeli side, is not putting their case across properly. And people just aren't buying it. You need to maybe acknowledge that you're wrong. What? No. You need to call out your side, sir. And acknowledge that there are people who you know and are friends with who are saying some evil stuff. That's what needs to happen.
Not working. It is failing utterly and totally. It just is. So that.
Oh, we're all everything's over now.
Just being honest with you. I actually am genuinely surprised that Charlie had been pushed away from.
He wasn't pushed away.
I know everybody now wants to say about Charlie, oh, see, I knew all along. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, because it hits so far up your own ass.
I'm sincerely surprised. And that's my honest feeling. And to me, the takeaway here is that the side that Charlie himself identifies as the pro-Israel side, well, they managed to alienate and push away Charlie Kirk.
Okay, well, that's not what happened. He wrote a letter to Bibi Netanyahu, which he published, saying he wanted to help Bibi sort out the PR for Israel, and warning him that this was happening on the right. He did that after these text messages. And he still identified himself as a pro-Israel Zionist. So that's not true. He was frustrated, yes, with the donors. Personally, I don't think he had a right to do that. Doubled down, realized the bullshit mistake he'd made. I think after that whole conference, he realized he'd made a big mistake. He realized. He saw the division. And that's not what he wanted. Wrote a letter to Bibi Netanyahu saying you need to address this. You need to do better at this. My personal opinion is you are in a position to help. You are in the business of advocacy. And Israel had advocates, and so they are fighting a war. They are fighting a war. They have a lot. Do you have any idea the pressure? You talk about Charlie Kirk's pressure that he was under. Bibi Netanyahu has the hardest job in the world, being the Prime Minister of Israel. Do you have any idea how much pressure Netanyahu was under? He has to sort out diplomacy, war strategy, all of it. Plus the entire world coming down on Israel. The man had pressure like you would not believe. Charlie Kirk had no idea what pressure was like. Let me be honest. Nothing close. He's concentrating on winning the war. His country is at risk. And being a military man, he knows how to handle pressure. All of them do. But Bibi was in no position to be the voice of it. His man is fighting a war, trying to destroy Israel's enemies, and he had so much on his plate. Is it not too much to ask Charlie Kirk to try and do things his side? I'll help, but I've got things to do here. I've got to go speak at the UN. The man has a huge weight on his shoulders. I'm just saying. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was but he wasn't turning against Israel. This was a text that he flew off the handle, and he quickly regathered himself and came back to his senses.
And if you're on that side, you should really, really stop and think about that.
Yeah, you should talk about yourself. I think that's more prominent to you. So you need to stop and think about who you are standing with. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, this is self-projection of massive proportions, and I'm sick and tired of it. And that's all I'm going to say. I've gone way over an hour, so. But yeah, the guy's a douche. I'm sorry, arrogant as fuck. Anyway, guys, I'll drop this to you. I just saw this and I had to talk about it. I'm flabbergasted. Really. Anyway, guys, someone's mowing now, so I'm gonna turn off now. All right, cheers.